Testing. So I hope everybody's doing well. I'm not doing too bad. You may have noticed a lot of changes recently with a lot of the stuff and how I handle and how I've been doing things at the moment. So just to sort of update people on what's been going on in my life lately. Some good things. I've been getting rid of toxic people. That's the first set of things that I've sort of changed in my life. I've been trying to go more towards less toxic people in my life, ultimately, which has been great. That's been an awesome thing. I recently just finished my license on my L's course, so I will soon be getting my license at this point. I just have to work. I'm going to take a week to study the book a bit more, and then I'm going to go and do the test. And this test should be pretty much a snap because I did a couple of practice runs, and the practice runs were really good. So what I'm doing at this point in time is I've changed a lot about my channel, truthfully. I've changed the upper banner and everything else. I made up my own banners, which I was able to do using placeit.net, which has been awesome so far. Awesome experience. Great piece of technology. So I changed a lot of things, including even the streaming part of things as well. So my start screen is now this. My back screen is here. I will be getting back into doing some more stuff with desktop with capture, but I haven't done anything with the capture yet as of yet, so that's still a work in progress. I've got a lot more stuff. I've changed my logo at the same time, so I've changed my logo on both my Twitter, all my social media stuff has that logo changed around now, which is awesome. So it's looking a lot more professional. I've also made some edits and stuff to my videos. I've added some introduction sort of video things to start off a video, and some ending videos as well. Those are all pretty much done through this website, which so far I'm pretty happy with them, and not just that, I can make them up myself, and it's relatively easy to do. What else have I done? I've basically just edited things down, got things much better together. I've taken a bit of break. I've been taking a bit of a break from things. Truthfully, I haven't been doing as much. I've taken a break from social media and YouTube and streaming stuff. It's not doing as much of that anymore. I'm still doing it, and I'm going to get back into doing it regardless. But what I'm doing at the moment is I've just adjusted everything so it all works a lot better in general. So, adjusted all my logos, adjusted all my appropriate stuff and everything else, changed some social media icons around on my website at the same time. In between that, I've also been doing trying to do better video production. I've got to get a bit more better at editing, to be truthful, or editing things in, which I am working on that at the moment. At this point, the main thing is sort of, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, oh, well, now I'm going to be able to drive. Now I'm going to be able to do a lot of the stuff I want to do. That's going to be awesome and great. My dad's probably going to get a new car, so realistically, he'll probably give me He'll probably give me his old one, I'd say. It looks like 2017 Kia, which is not too bad. In between that, I've been doing a lot of other stuff. I've also been doing a lot of businesses of late. So I've been doing a lot of production stuff in the sense of not just production stuff. I've been fixing laptops, fixing desktop computers, helping a lot of people, answering messages and stuff. I recently sold a monitor at the same time, sold a few other things. I bought a new monitor at the same time, which the monitor that I've currently got is a AOC. The model number, I might do a full review on that in a later video. I'll do a full review and just tell people exactly what it's like to use as a monitor. I'm testing it out at this point. It's an AOC, it's a 75Hz monitor. It's very, very nice resolution, very, very easy to read, much more easy to work with production and video stuff as well. It's still the same resolution as my last monitor, but I've just changed it around, so it's it's a lot easier to work with. Not just that, it's easy for me to read with glasses at the same time. So if I need to read text and stuff, it's a lot easier to read. What else have I been doing with myself? I've been working towards just getting rid of toxicity in my life, focusing on the positives in my life, talking to my therapist about general things. I'm still I'm still drinking, I'm still smoking. Those things haven't really changed. but everything else, a lot of other stuff has changed. I've basically tried to ramp up on having better production with my YouTube videos and all this other stuff, and making my YouTube videos look a lot better in general. I mean, some of my videos, the stuff that I had before, the actual, what do you call it? The banners, logos, and stuff and things like that, they weren't made by me. They were made by somebody else. But at the end of it, I figured out that she was doing the best she could. She wasn't perfect at it. I'd supported her for a fair few years, and I always think, she tried to look at it from a creative standpoint with me. She wasn't perfect at it, but she did a pretty good job with it, and I was pretty happy for the most part. But at the end of it, I wanted to look a bit more streamlined and professional. I made up some new business cards at the same time, because this website gave me the ability to make up business cards templates. So that was awesome, getting some templates for making business cards, which was great. So I made up a new business card. I'm going to be printing that up at some point in the future. I've been working towards better mental health. I now have on my wall a list on my well-being list. It basically says all the things that I should be doing or attempting to do. Now, these are some of the things, obviously, that I'm still working on, and these are still in process, and a lot of them are going to probably take a while to actually get them up and running. But cutting down on smoking, cutting down on drinking, being calmer, better sleeping patterns, which my sleeping patterns have been kind of shit. Meditation time, digital downtime, less anger, staying away from toxic stuff, that includes toxic people, calmer thinking, no racing thoughts, overthinking, putting myself first, being more than my job, which I honestly feel that's something that I was always a little bit inundated to myself. Making better choices, making new friends, practicing loving myself, not putting myself at the bottom of the list, so I always put myself at the bottom of the list and everybody else at the top. Putting my mental and health first. So that includes both mental health and physical health. Shut down my screens during the nights. Keep track of my booze intake, which I have been doing. I have been keeping track of what I've been drinking for the most part. There's going to be moments where I probably haven't, but for the most part, I have been keeping a diary of how regularly I drink, what I drink, sort of what works best for me when I do drink. I've basically been trying to make changes in my life, and that's, for the most part, it seems to be working. There's definitely things that have changed in my life. I made some adjustments and edits to my website, which make it look a lot better now. Just a lot more streamlined, not as just like vomit on the page sort of thing. I corrected some spelling, grammar, and some basic sort of stuff that I know that I was definitely needed fixing. I was also happy to ask for some help from family members and from close friends if I really needed it. Percentage, I'd say a good percentage of the stuff I'm doing myself, but there's also things that I ask for help with, and I get help with. But it's not everything. That's my point. Most of the time I'm pretty independent. What else have I been doing with myself? Like I said, I've been working towards this driver's license test, which is currently the thing that I've got mostly on my mind. My weight, it's sort of just, nah. At the moment, I'm not overly worried about it. It eventually will fall into place when a lot of the other stuff falls into place that I need to do, which I'd say, for the most part, is, say, for example, at this point in time, I'm planning on doing the gym more, which the problem is I can't do the gym right now because of this COVID-19 thing. But because I've had more time to muck around with the computer stuff and do a little bit more work on it, and not just that, but actually find things that are useful tools that'll actually help me with it, it's helped a lot. I'm hoping to do, just a couple of videos on different things that I haven't got around to editing or doing any production on as of yet. But basically, at this point in this point in my life, I've actually, a lot of things have changed. I won't say that my weight's completely changed. My weight's kind of got shit, to be honest. I really am annoyed with myself with that. but not overly annoyed because I know there's been other stress factors and things that have contributed to that. For a fair while, I was doing pretty well with my weight, and then it sort of curved inwards, and I was a little bit of stress eating in between. It wasn't just. I mean, it wasn't just stress eating. It was just like it was a whole bunch. I'd say it was. It was a little bit of anxiety, stress eating, and then there was like boredom eating as well. What else is there? Everything else has been mostly good. I mean, I'm in a better place mentally. I had a vacation about in February, so that was good. I really enjoyed the time there. It was great. The only thing is I did get assaulted on board. Somebody cut me here and here, and they also grabbed me by the shoulder, which was kind of weird because I couldn't figure out why the fuck they were doing it. Yeah, I was fairly drunk on board, but I mean that. Regardless of being drunk, I'm a pretty calm person when I'm drunk most of the time. Only time I remember not being calm is when something really pisses me off. But my point is, there was no real engagement to that point where I was getting pissed off with people on board. I was always pretty calm, always pretty collective. I always had good conversations with every single person that I talked to on board. It was mostly an awesome experience, except for one dickhead who decided to accuse me of something I didn't do, and making up fucking bullshit stories and being fucking completely off the deep end. I don't know who the cunt was. Well, I do know exactly who he was. I know exactly who he looks like, or exactly what he looks like. I know some of his personal details. I know, some little bits and pieces. But I mean, the honest truth is, I didn't really get every single detail of him. He just came up to me, hit me, and I just didn't even know who the fuck he was. Firstly, I just want to know why the hell he was hitting me, because I couldn't work that out. That's kind of the thing that I couldn't work out, firstly. Well, I'm guessing they were troublemakers on board. But the other thing, too, is I guess at the end of it, the reason he got pissed off with me towards the end of the cruise is because I got his alcohol card revoked because they knew he was just getting too drunk all the time. What else? So I had an enjoyable trip for the most part. It was good. There was a couple of little negative type experiences on board. There was a woman on MDMA which ended up trying to steal my dad's beer and our beer. She also stripped down to her undies in the fucking casino and ran around practically naked, tried to stab somebody with a pen apparently. So yeah, there was quite a few fucked up people on like at least two that I know of. Two fucked up people on that cruise. It was Carnival Splendor, by the way, if anybody's wondering what the cruise services I was using. I don't think I'll be using Carnival Splendor again. If I go on a cruise again, I'll be using a different service, or a different cruise liner. And I mean, it might be a while before I go on another cruise because of this COVID-19 thing and all the shit that goes on board. With the COVID-19 stuff, all the stuff that goes on board. COVID-19, social isolation. It's kind of annoyed me because I can't do gym anymore. I can't go to the club if I want a beer or whatever, or things like that. I can't do all the socializing things that I was doing before. A lot of the activities I was doing and stuff I was enjoying and getting out and doing, playing pool, stuff like that, and going around with certain people that I was going around with before. I can't do them as much now because I've got no option but to either be home or the only thing you can really do is go out and get essentials, which I've been doing for the most part. What else I end up doing? Pretty much just changing a lot of things in my life. Not just that, but changing a lot of ultimate stuff in, hopefully, well, I mean, that's the degree of it. I have been getting a lot of troll issues and stuff like that. That's still ongoing. I'm still getting a lot of scam artists and stuff like that from time to time. I'm going to be doing some videos on them at some point. Aside from doing some videos on them. And then I had a stream, it would have been a week or two ago, on Facebook, and somebody called the Fire Brigade. I have no fucking idea why they did that, but it was okay anyway. I explained to the Fire Brigade that it was a fake call, obviously, and somebody was just fucking pulling your leg. Somebody tried to hack my Facebook at some point. Very, very fucking shit attempts, by the way, but they attempted it anyway. So yeah, I mean, there's been quite a few things that have been going on. I'm not overly worried about the negative stuff because I've been trying to just waving it away and getting rid of it and trying to ignore it as much as possible and trying to have a better attitude towards it as well, just not biting into the stuff that either trolls or other people or scam artists or whatever do, you know? Not answering or replying to messages, generally. Just, you know, ignoring most of the bullshit, if I can. Yeah, it's look. Otherwise, it's been pretty good. Things have been reasonably okay. I've been keeping on myself for the most part, but at the same time, I've been doing a lot of business, which has been awesome. It's actually slowed down a bit now in comparison to what it was. It was a much higher number. Well, when the coronavirus first started, coronavirus stuff started, I pretty much ended up getting more business or an influx of business then. So I put a bit of money into Facebook advertisement. I put a bit of money into Gumtree advertisements as well, just to different pieces. And yeah, basically changed my logos around, changed a lot of my stuff around, made sure things were working correctly. Changed pretty much as I could around, really, just to make things different, to make things more fresher, look fresher. New branding sort of thing, I guess you could say. Technically it's a new branding, because I'm trying to sell a brand name at the end, so I'm trying to attempt to sell a brand name anyway. I will be doing a small business management course at some point in the future, which I plan to probably take that up maybe during the COVID-19 thing, I'd say, probably. The Zoom class that I was in for the learner drivers was fantastic. Learner drivers course was fantastic, and the instructor was awesome. She was great. Everybody, I was getting along with everybody in the class. Everybody seemed pretty cool, and you know, I mean, they were younger people, obviously. There was a few younger. There was a couple of like one or two people in my age bracket, so that was good. What else? Pretty much at this point, I ended up just readjusting my life to suit the COVID-19 thing. I hope I can get back into the gym and doing yoga, because I've suspended yoga for the moment because I can't really do it. Well, I can do it from home, but I think at the time that the particular class I was going to didn't have the option to do that at the time. I want to do some online classes, obviously, maybe for different bits and pieces, obviously. I'm hoping at this point to I'll be getting some driving lessons. I'll be doing those after I've done my test. I've got that all out of the way, but I've pretty much finished all my driver's ed type stuff and road ready, which is something that you have to do in Canberra. It's a road ready course. It's a course of what to do in accidents, you know, what kills you the most, what's the best option for driving, you know, stuff like that. And yeah, it's good. For the most part, I've been very excited about this change in my life now that I'm going to be a lot more independent. I can go anywhere I choose, obviously within reason and social distancing considered into that. Things aren't been too bad financially. I've that's balanced out to some degree. It's not perfect. I still wish I was making more in some areas. I still wish I had a little bit more money here and there, but you know what? At the end of it, you just need to roll with the punches, pretty much. What I have learned though is that there's definitely some good people out there. There's also some really shitty people out there too. I'm staying away from toxicity if I can. Just toxic shit, I don't want to deal with anymore. Toxic stuff it's not doing my health any good. It's not doing me any good. Not doing my anxiety levels any good. It's not doing any of the other stuff that I do any good. And the truth is, if I just choose to ignore it and just not pay any attention to it or not acknowledge it or bite, as it were, because I definitely find with trollish people or the troll stuff, people like you to bite. Typically, they just like you to bite at everything. But you know what? I've concluded that fuck people and fuck their attitudes. I'm just going to do what I need to do to live my life and obviously make my life better. And that's pretty much what I've been doing, is making my life better. I've tried, I've been trying new things, making sure that all of the stuff that I do is more accurate. Not just that, it looks a bit more polished at the same time. Basically putting together all different types of stuff. I'm still getting drunk, or, that's probably not going to change for the most part, but I don't know. I've been drinking slower. I've been drinking water and ice in between. I've been making sure that I haven't been getting overly drunk on stream and stuff like that and things of that nature. I've just been making better changes for myself in general. And when I do drink, I don't drink to an excessive point. I don't make it into a competition for myself or anybody else. And there's definitely some people who are making it into a competition for me to see how much I can drink. And I'm like, fuck off, you know. I don't need that in my life, realistically. What else? What other changes have I made? Diet, definitely. I've been doing light and easy meals, which is like a really dietary requirement thing. But the thing is, though, with those light and easy meals, what I've been doing is I was originally with this other company that I did the diet meals for, but they were kind of just bland and tasteless, and they didn't really have much flavour. So I'm like, well, what the fuck am I eating here? So I got some meals that had a lot more flavour, they tasted better, preparation was much better. Production on them was much better. So I thought, fuck it, I'll just get stuff that's actually, you know, just a much nicer and there's a much healthier option. Well, not just healthier, but tastier options too. In between that, I've been trying to cut some foods out of my diet as well at the same time. My weight, like I said, my weight's sort of all over the place at the moment, and I think that's just because I'm just getting used to things and getting back into the swing of things. I've mostly been working on getting my, you know, some of my YouTube stuff sorted and learning things. And when you're learning things, you're not really doing. Well, I mean, you do exercise, but not as much as if. When you're learning things, you're learning stuff, so you don't really pay attention to your exercise part of things or that particular part. You pay attention to the diet, obviously, but not so much exercise. I have been walking the dog from time to time, which has been helping. I've been doing occasional weights that I got underneath my bed and stuff and things like that, you know. But I don't know. I want to see if I can get back to the gym because I always found going to the gym always gave me that extra motivation when I, you know, you see everybody else exercising and it sort of made you want to exercise more. So that helps in that sense of motivation. I've been streaming mostly on Facebook for the most part, but sometimes I don't stream on Facebook if I'm extremely busy. This weekend I had to do the course for my L's was over the weekend, so I had to pretty much abstain from drinking this weekend to get that course over and done with and get everything out of the way. What else have I been? I mean, a lot of things have changed. I sold my Xbox, my Xbox One that I had, and I'm getting another Xbox S at the moment, Xbox One S, and I'm going to be putting that in as soon as I get it at the end of this month, I think, because it's got to come into stock. So I'm waiting for it to come into stock on the 29th of May, and then I'll start playing some more, mucking around with some more Xbox games and stuff like that, and doing things like that. I'm switching between services. I don't really know what I'm going for. You know, whether it's Twitch, whether it's Mixer, whatever, you know, Facebook, YouTube. I'm switching between different services and I'm just getting used to all the different services again. And not just that, I'm changing everything so it looks a lot better. And, you know, smoother, more contours, I mean, you know, all that shit. Just make it more streamlined for myself, personally. I want to see if I can do an editing course as well, just to edit out my videos a little bit more. I mean, there's a lot of people on my current subscriber list for Facebook, for YouTube, not Facebook, for YouTube that like the fact that I'm pretty raw with most of my videos. But that's something that I think I want to change a bit. I want to be able to, I want to edit things out. I want to add commentary. I want to do certain things. And it's stuff that I haven't really studied. Well, I mean, I should be studying more, but I mean, there's other stuff I've been focusing on my business mainly, like repairing computers, which, you know, I mean, look, to be honest, if I could afford it, I'd actually pay somebody to edit all my videos, but unfortunately, I don't have the money to do that. When I do, when maybe in the future when I get the money, I will do that. But I think by me doing it myself, I'm also learning. It's a learning experience, so I think it's good that I'm learning to do it myself. In between that, I've just basically been keeping as busy as possible, but at the same time, I've also been trying to I guess just make things better quality, you know? Make things better quality, look for the right types of things. I mean, probably also gain a better audience at the same time, find a more productive community. I've had some people in my community who are fantastic, and I've been in contact with them for years, and they're awesome people. I've also had some people from other communities that obviously aren't as good, or you know, they have a bit of a toxic streak in them. Obviously, that happens, unfortunately. But like I said, everything is basically a work in progress right now. But I have learned a lot. I mean, I have learned a lot in the last few months, because I've had a lot of time to sort of look at all the stuff that I've done. I'm like, I'm thinking that could be better. That could definitely be better. That logo could look a lot better. Those things could look a lot better. Those, you know, that could be more smooth. That could be more streamlined. That could look this way. I could have an intro. I could have an intro video. I could have an outro video. You know, like something to, yeah. You know, I'm thinking to myself, there's definitely a lot of stuff that I know that I need to adjust and maybe needs adjustment in my life. And not just down to YouTube. There's other personal stuff that I want to fix too. But you know, I think self-improvement is not a bad thing. It's a good thing. And even to the point, like I've been talking to my therapist. He said, look, at the end of it, just block out those people who you feel are toxic to you. Get rid of anyone that really doesn't promote a good self, your own good self-image. Who doesn't want the best for you, or feels that you don't deserve it. Like at the end of it, you are clearly a very, like he's talking to me. He said, "Look, you're a very functional, smart schizophrenic, you know, and not. I mean, aside from schizophrenia, I also have recently I got a diagnosis of Asperger's. Because I didn't originally have the diagnosis of it, but I recently got a diagnosis of it. Spectrum of autism, I believe they don't really call it Asperger's anymore, but they pretty much call it like a spectrum of autism. So I've got autism. And then they went into the point of reference of saying, well, you know, you've obviously got the anxiety, depression, all the other stuff, and things like that. So I mean, there's a whole there's like a 30-page report on my psychological state of mind that I went through with an individual psychologist and got assessed. And actually not just assessed, but it sort of helped me to be able to, you know, get things done in my life. And, you know, just if people ask me, or if I need to prove the fact that I do have mental issues, I can prove that fact. I've got a whole fucking, you know, skew of different things. Aside from my regular therapist that I see, I also have this psychologist that I've seen with all those details, you know. And I mean, it was probably about 10 different reports at this point, but I've just gone through all that stuff and just, you know, basically got everything that I needed, just not just to prove it, but also point out to people that I do have some issues. There's definitely stuff going on there. So yeah, I mean, I feel I've accomplished a lot for myself. I started doing bowling. I started doing a bowling league just before the COVID-19 thing started, and I will be going back to do that. So I'll be doing bowling league. So when everything sort of gets back into swing, yoga, gym, bowling league, walking the dog, probably most likely driving and going out on my own, whether it's, you know, clubs or whatever, or pubs, obviously when those reopen. There may be some live streams. There may be some live streams of me going to clubs, most likely. Going to those types of social venues. I don't really bring those all the time, but I definitely did a few of those types of streams on Twitch and other places like that. And, you know, well, not just that, Twitch, Mixer, and all the other places, and even Facebook for that matter. I do a lot on Facebook. But yeah, you know, I've been trying my best to improve myself, and not just that, but get rid of anything I think that's toxic, anybody that I'm suspicious of, or I feel maybe doesn't want the best for me ultimately, you know. I mean, at the end of it, you've got to look after yourself. You've got to have people around you that support you and support what you do. You know, and don't always offer negative opinions on you. Don't always make you feel like shit. Don't always abuse the crap out of you. And are obviously not narcissistic pricks. So, you know, you well, not just narcissistic, probably slightly psychopathic as well. And that's the truth. You need people around you that are going to be that way. I was hanging around with a lot of people who are anti-vaxxers. Now, I'll be honest. I believe that vaccines work. I've never not believed that vaccines work. And I kind of just went with the opinion that they didn't because I didn't want to rock the boat. I know vaccines work. I've had vaccines most of my fucking life. Up until a little while ago when I wasn't really getting the flu vaccine, but now I sort of get the flu vaccine every so often. But the vaccines do work. With this COVID-19 thing, this should be proof in the pudding that we need vaccines. They do actually protect us against things. And yeah, I'm pretty adamant about people like that. Conspiracy theorists, I don't have a problem listening to a conspiracy theory, but I don't believe every conspiracy theory I read. I definitely don't have a problem talking about conspiracy theories and maybe, you know, going on about them and sort of maybe pointing out the errors in their continuity and also their facts. I also don't mind pointing out that maybe sometimes there is more things going on than we assume, and that is, I still believe that. I do believe that, honestly. That there's more stuff out there that's going on than what our government is telling us. I also believe there's a lot of things that we don't necessarily see that goes on behind the scenes. But do I believe it's all negative? No, I don't think it's all negative. That's the one thing I can say. I don't think it's all negative. Do I believe every conspiracy theory on the internet? Fuck that, no. If you believe every conspiracy theory on the internet, you go fucking nuts. And I think that's part of the problem, is that people tend to eat their own tripe and see that, you know. I'm still a big advocate in believing that, yes, weed will help you. It's not necessarily a bad thing. It definitely helps people with certain conditions, anxiety, otherwise people with different mental issues, and it also helps people with pain, and also has medical properties. And, you know, like I said, there's a lot of people that are seeing the benefits of it now. Cigarettes, there's obviously no benefit to these, really. I mean, aside from the fact that you get crippling addiction to them to a certain extent. Do I believe that alcohol is addictive? Definitely. Do I believe there's certain types of people who have addictive personality types? Definitely. Do I believe I'm fully addicted to everything in my life? No. There are certain things I may be addicted to in my life. I'm not really addicted to food, I guess. Yes, I do eat food for comfort sometimes, but I also eat food out of stress. And I also eat food for other reasons. Do I have an issue with food? Not really. Because I have had those periods where I've literally gone and done fasting for a while. And I did lose a bit of weight out of that. There's just times where I think, fuck it, you know, I want to have something nice and greasy, or I want to have something nice and meaty or whatever, or something that's not necessarily good for me, because it's my fucking choice as a human being. Do I believe that I have weight issues? Yeah, I do, definitely. But those weight issues stem from a lot of different things. I mean, aside from the emotional side of things that I'm still working out with my therapist, there's also probably the alcohol is probably a vast majority of that. So we got alcohol. Food is a factor, but not always. My medication that I take slows down my metabolism, because I know that for a fact, because I looked it up. It's not the perfect solution because I have to keep my mental stability, obviously. So unfortunately, I can't really give up the medication. It's not really something I can give up. Do I believe antipsychotics work? Yeah, definitely, they do. They do make you more mentally stable. Do they have some bad side effects? Fuck oath they do. Do I believe antidepressants work? To some degree, yes. Antidepressants can be effective. I don't think they're a bad thing, but they do have some side effects. And you've got to realise that whenever you take a medication, there is going to be a side effect. I'm more inclined to say that I would prefer probably weed over an antidepressant, but at the same time, I don't have a problem taking an antidepressant either. I don't particularly like taking my antipsychotic, but I have to take it regardless. At the end of it, I take an injection every 2 weeks. I only started smoking 3 years ago, so smoking is a new thing to me. Practically, well, it's not new, it's like not brand new, but I've only been smoking 3 years, or it's probably about 4 years now. And only reason for that is stress. I'd say stress, dealing with toxic shit. Sometimes just dealing with the shit generally in life. Same context and same reason that I drink. Dealing with stress, numbing pain, emotional, Emotional pain is definitely a part of that. Yeah, so those things definitely, yeah. I'm not using these as excuses or reasons for things being the way they are, but I'm making a point that these things have affected me ultimately. Look, at the end of it, I'm using them as a justifiable point of where this is why I am the way I am today. There's definitely things that have made me good. There's definitely things that have made me bad. I guess sometimes if you hang around the wrong people too, that doesn't help either. Yes, I smoke, I drink. I don't tend to take drugs. Aside from weed, if people consider weed to be a drug, I don't really consider it to be a drug. But like, I haven't smoked for like 6 fucking months or more now, so yeah. So realistically, do I have an issue with weed? No. I don't necessarily need it. It's not required. To these, I probably have more. I have more of an issue with these. I have more of an issue with alcohol than I do with weed. Definitely. I have more of an issue with these two things than I do. I probably have more of a fucking issue with coffee, to be honest. More of an issue with fucking drinking way too much coffee sometimes. My guilty pleasure is, though, and I admit this, is soft drinks. Coca-Cola, Mountain Dew, all those types of high sugar drinks. Those drinks are definitely something I like. And maybe that is a little bit of an addiction, because people do say that sugar is a bit addictive. So maybe I have a bit of an addiction to sugar. It may not be in the form that people think of. Like, normally most people think somebody big like me would be like, the chocolate cakes and all the desserts and stuff. No. It's all those loaded carb drinks that I normally fucking have a problem with. Those are the things that I tend to get hooked on. And that's probably the reason I fight a little bit with some things, because I definitely like to have a sugar drink from time to time. I probably have them more often than I should. I probably overdo it in some departments with those, and that's the reason I've been trying to cut back on them. I'm far from perfect. I am not the absolute picture of health with everything in my life. My cholesterol is actually doing pretty well. My sugars aren't too bad either, in the sense of like my diabetic condition stuff going on. My sugars have been pretty reasonable, and they've been a pretty good number. The doctor was pretty happy with my cholesterol, so he's pretty happy with that. That's not an issue at the moment. I am taking a cholesterol medicine, and I am taking some diabetic stuff, but then there's times where I forget to take. Sometimes where I forget, or I just don't necessarily take the medicine that is required. But I try to make it a regular thing of taking it regardless, if I can, even if it's not at the exact same time every day. There's sometimes where I might take it in the morning or something like that, because I've been up all night doing something, or The other thing that I learned from my therapist is I have bad sleep hygiene. I can be up until 5 a.m. doing something on the internet, watching YouTube videos or something to that effect, or binge watching a bit of Netflix or something like that. And I do have these habits of getting enthralled, whether it's in a movie series, whether it's in a series of stuff and videos on YouTube, or whether it's a series of other stuff, and I get too focused on them, and then it's like, ooh, shit, 5 o'clock in the morning, you don't realise. The other thing that I have to make a habit of now is turning all my screens off and turning anything electronic off, for example, my phone, after a certain time of night. So when it gets to a certain time of night, just turn everything off, just whack, turn off, you know, or turn the sound down so low on each of those items that I just don't have anything to disturb me. The other thing too that I found out is from my therapist that I seem to have this this point of reference where I feel like things can't wait till the morning, or I feel like I'm going to miss out on something. Because that's definitely something that I do find with myself, that I'll have this issue where I feel like I'm going to miss out on something, so I'll stay up, or I'll stay up doing research or doing something else in the first place. So that is a bit of an issue for me. There's also the stemming, trauma from my mum dying at the same time, and abuse that she endured as a kid, the sexual abuse and all the other crap that she had happen to her. It leaves a total bit of a taste in my mouth about pedophiles and crap like that, and that can definitely be a trigger for me, but I'm trying not to let people trigger me from that, because people know that, and that's pretty much something I'm trying not to get triggered from now. I'm a little bit. There's probably those two things, well, that and like animal abuse definitely triggers me too. I found so far in my life, to a certain extent, that the things that I've learned that are triggering me, should be the things that I shouldn't focus on. I should step away from those and just not focus on those too much. So I guess the point is, I'm trying to change my behaviors to a certain extent, and it's ingrained in me, these certain behaviors that I've gathered from just dealing with toxic shit on the internet, especially. And it wasn't all toxic. Not every experience I've had on the internet is toxic. I've met some wonderful people on the internet. I've met some awesome people, and they're great people to talk to. They're awesome. I made some new friends in the last few weeks, which has been awesome as well, from Asperger's group. I've made some new friends from streaming groups that I've been in on Facebook, and other groups, schizophrenic groups as well, to get to know some people who have schizophrenic or similar schizophrenic conditions to me. Just tons of stuff which has helped me deal with all the shit, generally going on, and just help me to deal with stuff in general. Aside from that, I've just been trying to focus on improving stuff if I can. And that's ultimately my goal, just to improve. And which I have been improving, and that's my point. A lot of things have improved. Aside from the fact that I now have, I've got better logos, I've got better stuff that I feel like these are great achievements, because I finally found a site that does that type of stuff, and you can edit it yourself and you can muck around with it. It's a fairly simple process, and then you can make videos and end and start videos and stuff for the beginning and the end of the videos. In between that, I've been trying to just do as much as I possibly can to improve the image that I feel not just improve my image, but I guess, I was a pretty good person to start with. But the problem is that I think what's happened is that psychologically, in the back of my mind, I was always someone who said I didn't deserve things, or I was worthless, or some shit like that. And that's what was going on in the back of my mind with my voices. And that's what probably pissed me off the most, is that, not just the voices, but even some hallucination factors as well. That a lot of the shit was just, I think up until my mental breakdown, which was about 3 years ago now, roughly around 3 years ago, that showed me that I was doing something wrong, in the sense of, like, not just wrong, but like, I was obviously in a situation where I wasn't in an ideal situation. I wasn't doing the right thing by myself, by my mental health and all this other stuff. And not just that, I could see some of the mistakes I was making. I was stressed. There was also a stress factor as well, whether it was being stressed over not having business, or stressing out about having too much business, or, just stressing in general because you're worried about something that's happening in the world. Because I do keep up to date with all the latest political news. I do keep up to date with everything else in the world. And, it's not like this stuff doesn't worry me. I don't always talk about it on the surface. And that's typically something that has been revealed to be a bad thing. If you're a male, you shouldn't reveal your emotions. You shouldn't show weakness. I don't think it's showing weak. It's being weak by showing that you have emotions. I don't think it's weak by showing that you have empathy towards others, and I don't think it's weak to look after yourself either, or your own mental health. Because the truth is, you're not being selfish if you're looking after yourself. That's just ridiculous, And as I said, typically there was a thing up on that list, that wellness list, which is I always put myself at the bottom of the list and everyone else at the top of the list. I am now putting myself to the top of the list because nobody fucking else will. And the truth is, I need to put myself at the top of the list. I need to prioritize my own health, whether it's both physical and mental. I need to prioritize that over everything in my life. I need to use my job, not just my job to define me, but myself, me as a person, the human being that's behind that job and behind all the work that I do, and the work that I have done over the years, and the things that I've achieved over the years. Sure, I'm not perfect. Sure, I make mistakes. Sometimes shit doesn't look the way it should. It's not a perfect life, but nobody is fucking perfect. And any cunt or asshole who says that he's perfect is obviously just fucking lying to himself and clearly doesn't see that we all are entitled, we all make mistakes. That's my point. It's only human. I mean, it's just the way it is, I guess at the end of it, I'm trying to improve. Trying to get there, and so far I've been doing a good job. So far it's been good. So far I feel in line with myself. I've got the right attitude towards things. I'm being creative. I'm taking more risks with some things in my life now. I'm getting over my anxiety issues about a lot of the things that I wanted to do, whether it was getting my license or whatever, because I initially had a lot of anxiety about that, about getting my license. There was a lot of that behind it. After doing that freaking course. After doing that after doing a lot of after doing that course, I can obviously see there's a lot of people in the same situation. There's a lot of people who are truly trying to achieve this stuff. In the end of it, not just that, but most road rules are pretty common sense stuff. There's only certain sections you got to focus on when you're doing this stuff, and it's okay to be nervous about the test because it's going to happen, but don't let it overrule your life or overrule you trying to achieve that stuff. I guess the other side too is I never really thought about getting my license up until this point. I mean, in the early years when I was starting out with schizophrenia and stuff like that, I just assumed that I wouldn't drive, and I never thought about driving. I never really, I don't know, I just didn't think about it. And I guess it's just more that I never really thought about it, up until this point. And then I started thinking, well, okay, it's going to be a lot better if I do drive, just generally for my business, because I can do mobile repairs. And if I have my dad's old car, it's not that old, it's like 2017, but still, it is an old car. He's going to buy a new one. Ultimately what will happen is I can put all my tools in there, I can put all my stuff in there, I can go over to a client's place and I can fix their computer. I guess the other thing too is some stuff's still going to have to come back to the workshop. Some stuff I won't be able to fix on the spot. And the other thing too is I can go places if I want to, whether it's over to a friend's place, whether it's over to grab something to eat, or whether it's over to the shops to grab something because I need to drive somewhere in particular. I'm not relying on my dad anymore. I'm not relying on anybody else to give me a lift. I'm ultimately my own man. I'm my own independent person, and I can do with it, whatever the fuck I like with the car. We'll go ahead and go for a fucking drive. not just go for a drive, but go for a random drive just around Canberra to see what the fuck's around Canberra in general. If I need to drive to a specific shop for something that I particularly want, then I can go to that specific shop and I don't have to worry about it. All I have to worry about is really the gasoline, the cost of the gasoline, really. Obviously, the other stuff, insurance and everything else, that, but you don't really worry about that when you're on the road. But my point is, I won't have to worry about. I won't have to worry about feeling like I've either burdened Dad or I'm annoying Dad by saying, "Oh, can we drive out there or whatever?" Or, for example, which I've not all the times I've been going to get my dad to drive me. Other times it's been the opposite, where I've been, got lifts from people, and I don't want to have to rely on people all the time. So that's not. I think generally, if I'm more independent, and not just that, my dad is getting older. God forbid that he passes away at some point. I'm going to need to be able to go down, do the things I need to do, whether it's post something off eBay or something to that effect, posting something for eBay or whatever, or whether it's doing other things. I pay all my bills online. Whenever I pay a bill, I pay it online. My dad never does that. He pays everything in person at the post office or whatever. But let's say I want to post something away. That's another example. If I want to go down to the shops and get a haircut or something like that. Or, something to that effect. Or if I want to go on a date with a woman, that's the other side of it too. I won't have to rely on her having a car. I won't have to rely on public transport or Ubers. None of that shit. So at the end of it, I'll have all that freedom and independence for myself. And if I want to go somewhere like a hotel, for example, say I don't want to bring her back here, just because of this is I'm running with a single bed at the moment, which obviously that might change in the future, depending on, at some point if Dad ends up passing away, which eventually he has to, it's inevitable with age, you do. But, at some point I guess I'm going to take it to the point where I'm going to probably get a double bed. I used to have a double bed, actually, to be honest. I used to have a double bed back in Wollongong. But I just moved down here and it was just a lot easier to have a single bed. But I don't know. We'll see. But the other side of it too is that I am on the lease for this place anyway. So I'm on a rental agreement for this place anyway. So if there's any issues anyway, it's not a problem. I'll just take up the rent regardless. If Dad does pass away. And plus, we've got a will in place. Dad's got a will in place anyway. But look, at the end of it, I figure, if I want to drive somewhere, whether it's a hotel or something like that, or something to that effect, I can do that stuff if I want to. I'm not going to feel like I'm fucking, burdening or bothering anybody with other things. The other thing too is, I was relying on my sister a bit to some degree. I don't have to rely on my sister anymore for, still some things that my sister will give me a bit of a hand with, because she always does. She's generally that type of person. The same with her, my nephew, she helps them out as well. Look, at the end of it, I don't think I'm going to have a problem living on my own when I do eventually live on my own. And it probably will be this house, most likely. Or it may be a separate apartment, I don't know. It may be a separate apartment. We'll see. But if I have my own independence, I can travel to places, and maybe I can travel back here. So, for example, I do move into a separate apartment from my dad, somewhere locally with probably fibre optics. I'd have to get a place with fibre optic, and probably some place with some room to put my repair stuff in. So this is my point. I've got so much room here. I've got so much more room here. So that's the reason I'm more inclined to stay here, because I have so much more room. I've got a workshop here, and a business is established here at the same time. I've got everything off Google, so it's just easy to keep everything here, to be honest. But at the end of it, if I've got everything set out like that, I can go to a client place. I can, whether it's I can even pick up computers if I need to, or pick up parts, or go and get stuff, or talk, go on a date or a coffee with someone, with a mate, go for a coffee or a beer with a mate or something, okay, it's different. I'll use an Uber if I'm getting a beer or something. Obviously. Well, yeah, okay. So, learner drivers can't drink, obviously, and P players can't either. So we put that point of reference in the sense that, I'll most likely still use Uber anyway. Uber's still good to do, but I mean the sense of like independence, like like I said, the real cost of staying involved is the gas cost, and not just that. I mean it's me who's doing it. I'm in control of everything. I can make sure everything's good. Aside from that, I'm gonna make sure that I hopefully at this point. I think at some point I'm going to probably move into a different area in the house. I don't know. I think it depends. I don't think I can't really fit a double. I don't think I can fit a double bed in here, to be honest. I'm not sure about this room. That's a good question. Maybe. No. Well, I might be able to. I think a double bed would be a bit shorter than a king size single. So if I got like a basic double bed that went across this area section, and then put the desk against that wall, I could probably fit a double bed in here. The other thing is, I'm trying to think. My dad's room is actually bigger, so I'd have to rearrange the cables though. You know what I'd probably do though, depending on the point of reference, is later on, if I had enough money, I'd probably get cables put into the walls in this house. I'd get like Ethernet cables throughout the house. So one Ethernet port in the spare room, there's an Ethernet port here, obviously, in this room. And I'd get one put into, I'd get an Ethernet port put here, Dad's room, spare room, and the lounge room. Just so I could run certain things off Ethernet. That's what I'd realistically do. I'd spend money to put that. I wouldn't have an issue with that at all. And then eventually, hopefully, things will work out there anyway. But that's what I'd probably do, I'd say. Yeah. That'd be pretty much my best choice. I don't know. Like I said, it's such a vast majority of things that I'd probably want to do. The garage, it's probably a lot of stuff I sell off in a garage sale of some type. On my dad's stuff in particular. Other stuff I'll probably sell on eBay, because my dad does do that. Yeah, I'll probably move things around and rotate stuff a bit. But the vast majority of bills and stuff and other things and stuff along those lines, I pay online anyway. The only thing I'd have to take on my dad's side of the bills when he obviously passes away. But it shouldn't be too much of an issue. I don't think it's going to be too much of an issue. So yeah, yeah, it shouldn't be too much of an issue. I don't see it being too much fun anyway. Because I'd probably be using less power. Let's say, I'd probably be using less power than my dad does. I wouldn't have everything on all the time, so I probably wouldn't have his computer on anymore. Probably a few other. The only computers I'd have on is a workbench computer and this computer, and I'd probably most of the time my dad's computer or something like that, or sell it. I still keep the dog. I definitely keep the dog because I love the dog. I still keep the bird. Yeah. And I have cleaners come in. We have cleaners come in about once a week. So we have cleaners coming in about once a week, so that's always good if there's any. I mean, I keep the house pretty clean most of the time. It's sort of a mixture between me and Dad. Sometimes I'll cook, sometimes he'll cook, sometimes I do some cleaning, he does some cleaning. So we sort of halve it down the middle, but then sometimes he does a little more than I do. But then sometimes he does the opposite. So, I mean, it's sort of vice versa thing. But, I mean, look, at the end of it, put it this way. I've met some people who can't use a fucking washing machine, can't wash their own fucking dishes, who can't make their own food, and, can't even make their own coffee or whatever, or things like that, or a combination of that, And I've never had a problem doing any of that. I can fucking cook, I can wash my own clothes, I can fucking... Yeah, I'll wash my own clothes, I can replace light bulbs, I can fix up things if they're broken, typically. Yeah, all that stuff, I mean, that's pretty basic stuff. And then the last probably thing I'd have to do is mow this little backyard thing we got here. But it's not very big, so you just get the tiny little fucking electric mower out and you're done. probably takes about 5, maybe 15, 20 minutes, maybe an hour. No, I wouldn't say that long. No, probably 5 or 10 minutes, 15, 20 minutes. 30 minutes to the max, maybe, to do this little area here. I'd probably put a lot more electrical outlets in the garage as well, just to, because I would be running stuff off there. And most likely what I would do with the garage is, as soon as I sold stuff out of there, is I would add sections of more benching, like more workbenches in there, so I could work on multiple computers if I chose to. But yeah, that's probably what I'd do there. Yeah, so yeah, pretty much what I'd probably do. Yeah, we'll see what happens. And then realistically, I might make an offer on this house even, with the rental place that we're doing, the rent free maybe. Probably wouldn't be a bad idea. Eventually, depending on if I was making enough money, I'd probably make an offer on this house. So yeah, that would definitely be the first thing I'd do. I'll probably have to get a home loan most likely, so yeah. Anything I wouldn't do though. Well, I may get a credit card, but I'd only use it for emergency reasons. I wouldn't use it for general spending. I'd use it for emergency reasons if I had to pay a bill really quickly or something. But I generally don't have a credit card. I have debit cards. I have 2 debit cards. So, you know, and I have a couple of bank accounts and things like that. So, you know, a few bank accounts on them, but yeah. Actually, it's probably about 2 or 3, maybe 4. Anyway, my point is, or the point that I'm trying to make to you anyway is that, because I like to separate money for certain things anyway, but I guess the point that I'm trying to make to you is I would make this place my own. I would not just that. I would probably expand upon my business stuff, that side of things. I mean, eventually I may move into a commercial space to do some things, but at the moment I'm not that big at the moment. I haven't gone that far with my business. I mean, I've gone to a certain degree. I've gone to a certain level with it, but I know I can go further, obviously. But I'm not going to let that define me or let it define my life, ultimately. I'm just going to take it slow and do it my way. Because if I push the issue, I just know I'll stress out about it too much and I'll overthink the situation. I think at this point, anything else that I really want to do with myself or with my life is I'll probably find somebody, whether that person is a boy or a girl, doesn't matter. I mostly like women, but I have some men that I've found really attractive as well. So, it varies with my opinion on that. Yeah, so, look, we'll see what happens. We'll see how it goes. But like I said, it'll just give me a lot more independence with this stuff and with this license stuff. I think this is going to generally just make me feel a lot more like I can travel, like I can do stuff and all that stuff. So it's just going to generally make me feel better. I think at this point though, I've got everything worked out. For the most part, everything seems to be working correctly. I'm feeling good, for the most part. There's still fucking days where I feel like shit, and there's generally some days where I don't sleep very well. Some days I sleep too much, sometimes I sleep too little. You just gotta get that balance, I guess, to a certain extent of sleep. I'm just being a lot more flexible with myself. I'm letting things happen naturally for myself. I'm not forcing the issue. I'm not pushing myself so hard that I'm going to collapse into a pile because of it. I'm just pushing myself just enough that I'm nudging forward with everything that I'm doing. So that's the main thing that I want for myself is I'm moving forward. That's what we want. Another thing is too, I'm because of my Asperger's, I don't really like change. Change is not a great thing for me. Or change, I generally don't like change. And this is something that people with Asperger's, they don't like change. Changes can be a very hard thing to adapt to. I'm very adaptive most of the time, but I also have those moments where it comes to my home life and other things that I do, I'm not as adaptive, We will see what happens. But my point is, I'm doing reasonably well, Yeah, definitely the weight issue could be fixed, and I'm not, I'm not denying that. But I'll get there. I'm not overly worried about that. But I'm working on a goal, and that goal that I said to myself, I had it written on my wall. I had to get my license, and that goal has been sitting there for a fucking hell of a long time. And I finally did the ELS course again after 3 years of not doing it, because originally it was 3 years ago that I attempted to do it, but I was in such a bad mental state that I don't think I could have done fucking anything, because I was just, my head was so fucking out of whack in the first place that I wasn't in a good place mentally, so I wouldn't have even attempted to try to do it. And that's my point, I think that was the emphasis on it anyway. Alright, I'm going to leave it there anyway. Thank you very much. Hope you like my new logos and all my other stuff and everything else. Feel free to check out my website. Feel free to check out everything else on my social media platforms. And keep in contact if you want to contact me. I'm a pretty friendly guy most of the time. But please introduce yourself. Don't just immediately message me and expect... Well, message me at least, or try to contact me in some form or way. And just introduce yourself, because I have a lot of scam artists and a lot of dodgy people and I am a little bit paranoid about some of that stuff, so I like to see who I'm talking to. I like to know the details of the person I'm talking to. So if you are going to contact me, please at least try to make some contacts that, just friendly stuff, general banter, just talk, like is my point. I've had plenty of people who message me and just not talk at all, We'll just be very silent on most of the things. The other side too is if you are a scam artist or anybody like that, you can kindly fuck off and leave me alone. I've definitely had too many of those. And if it's somebody fucking claiming to be, it's like, honey, I want to marry you within the first I love you, or I want to marry you within the first 5 seconds of meeting me, you can go and fucking suck a dick. Because I know for a fact that they're all fucking fake. That's my point. I know how many fucking fake fucking accounts there are out there. This is an astronomically fucking high number. I will not respond in most cases to those unless I want to fuck with them. If I want to fuck with those accounts, I will respond to them. But I might respond sarcastically. I might just try like fuck with you, send you some demented porn or something. Shit like that, and just fuck with you a little bit more. Well, like, that's my point. That's some of the stuff I, sort of fuck with them anyway. Get a little bit drunk, have a bit of fun. But, like, that's my point, If you're somebody like that, just get away from me. Fuck off. If you're somebody who just wants to talk and wants to reach out and talk and do things, discuss stuff, subjects, whatever, feel free to. I'm happy to talk. The other thing, too, is if you are a troll, piss off, please. Just leave me alone. I don't want to deal with toxicity anymore. It's as simple as that. I just can't deal with toxicity anymore. So if you're a troll, get lost. If you're just toxic in general, I don't want to hear from you either. I don't want to hear from anybody who's toxic. Or if you have an opinion about something, that's alright. You have constructive criticism, that's fine. If you're just purely being toxic and being a fucking shit stirrer, then fuck right off with your bullshit, because I don't need that in my life. I need more positivity. Alright, thank you very much. I'm going to leave it there. I guess at the end of it, hope everybody's doing well. To everybody who's not a troll and who's not a fucking scam artist, and fucking somebody trying to hack my Facebook account, obviously, I'm going to say, I hope you're alright. I hope you're doing well. I hope this COVID lockdown is finding you well. And I hope your mental health is good. Okay. Alright, thank you. And, yep, thank you. Just stay tuned. There's obviously going to be some more videos, but yeah.